Hi there. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the new revolutionary golf ball by Nike Golf. It's called 20Xi. Now, this ball is very special. It's very new. Not many people have tried it. We have with us today the global category director for golf balls and golf bags, all the way from the States, Mike Pye. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Jay. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for Nike Golf?
My title is the category director for golf balls and golf bags, and really what that means is I help manage the teams that really create our golf ball lines and our golf bag lines, and manage the products and hopefully get people excited about them.
Well, we are excited. We heard about the 20Xi. We would like to know more about it.
Okay.
So can you tell us a little bit about the evolutionary steps which brings about the 20Xi that we are introducing to the market now?
Sure. The 20Xi, we believe that there hasn't been a revolution in golf ball technology like this in the last 10 or 11 years. Mm-hmm. When the industry made the move from wound core to solid core for tour played urethane covered golf balls back in 2000, that's really the last big change. All balls in the last 10 or 11 years have, by and large, been an attempt to make that technology a little bit better every year.
Okay.
What we've done with 20Xi is we've completely changed what the golf ball is made of inside. The core of our golf ball is a solid core, but it's not rubber. It's made out of a revolutionary new material. It's a thermoplastic resin that I'm holding here in my hands. Never been used in a golf ball core before. And we believe it provides tremendous performance benefits over and above current ball technology.
I see. Okay. Well, this is something very, very new to the market at large.
Yes, it is. This material is something that's been in development with DuPont for the last 4 years on how to process it and make it into the core of a golf ball, because we knew that it had really, really advantageous benefits in terms of speed and in terms of weight. And we felt that if we could harness that for the core of a golf ball, that would provide us a lot of flexibility to do different things and to provide better benefits than what was on the market at that time.
Of course, we're all excited to try this out. Now, the core obviously is what set 20Xi apart, but I'm sure that's not the only thing that set it apart from other golf balls in the market right now.
Right. Well, it's actually this core material which there's really two things that make this special for a golf ball. The first is speed. This resin material has a higher coefficient of restitution than its rubber counterpart. So higher COR, as we've heard in golf clubs, means more speed. So naturally, this will create faster initial velocity off the tee. The other thing that this has over rubber is weight. This is actually a lighter material than rubber. And what this allows us to do is to be able to increase speed, yet at the same time be able to put heavier layers on the outside and the perimeter of the golf ball. And the heavier layers on the outside with the lighter material on the inside give this ball much greater stability. So this ball has the highest moment of inertia of any golf ball. And one of the key feedback that we keep hearing about it is how stable it is in all wind conditions, particularly in crosswinds.
I see. So basically, you come off the golf club faster.
Faster,
correct?
Yes. It's faster and more stable.
And the fact that you can sort of put the weight on the outside, that sort of reminds me on when the club jumped to perimeter weighing of the irons.
Exactly. So you can call this, if you want, a perimeter weighted golf ball. Other people have tried to make that claim in the past. We know for us, it is the highest moment of inertia of any golf ball that we've tested. The other thing about the speed that this provides is it allows us to put a softer cover on the golf ball, because urethane, which is the cover material of our golf ball, is generally a slow material. So what's happened, as we've tried to improve the previous generation of golf balls, we were always hampered by the fact that urethane, being a slower material, has negative effects on ball speed. What we're able to do here, so and with a softer material, you get less ball speed. What we're able to do here with this, because this is a faster material,
Right.
we don't have that same issue because we're able to make up that speed because of the speed of the core. So that's one of the reasons why the 20XI balls spin as well as they do around the greens, because they have the softest cover materials of any of the ones that we've measured.
I see. Okay, great. Okay, well, now we know that the weight is lighter, the speed coming off the club is faster. But how about durability? I mean, you say softer cover. A lot of us that use golf balls, we're not the tour pros where you switch balls
Right.
every hole or every 3 holes.
Right.
How durable is this new skin?
It's actually one of the most, if not the most durable of all of the urethane golf balls that are out on the market. One of the properties of urethane is the softer urethane gets, actually, the more scuff resistant it is. So the harder urethanes are less durable, the softer urethanes are more durable. So we have both, since we have the softest covers out there, that's one advantage in durability. The other is, we have several material experts, on our team that are urethane experts, and their expertise has allowed us to create a cover material that performs the way it does, at the same time is as durable as it is.
So basically, for an average golfer, coming off the wedge, coming off the golf cart, the trees,
I don't know about a tree or a lawnmower, but
a little less scuff.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, durability is very, very important for a lot of us golfers. Now, of course, if you're completely nuts about every facet of golf, like me, I would like to hear more.
Okay.
Because it took a while to get, the wound to the solid core contact.
Right.
Well, now rubber
Right.
to resin. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. We again, I think resin's really the next next revolution in materials in a core, and the resin material is a faster material and it's a lighter material, which both of those provide certainly tremendous benefits to the golfer. A faster material means more speed off the club face. A lighter material means our ability to perimeter weight it. And this is a little kit here, a little demonstration. This is just water. And what we have in this water is, let me shake it up a little bit. We have both rubber, urethane, and the resin material. And so the rubber and the urethane, as you can see, end up at the bottom, whereas this resin material floats to the top. The difference in this weight, the contrast between the lightness of the resin and the weight down here of the rubber and the urethane, particularly the urethane in particular, since this is on the outside of the golf ball,
Right.
allows us to have a golf ball with tremendous moment of inertia over our competition, which provides stability in flight, stability in wind conditions.
Okay.
But one of the other things it also provides too is a ball that has a resistance to twisting. So when you hit it with a driver off the tee, it wants to resist that twisting. Okay. However, once it starts twisting, and what moment of inertia is a resistance to twisting. But once it starts spinning, it's almost like a gyroscope where it's going to maintain its
Keep
spin.
going.
So as it maintains its spin, as the ball slows down in the air, when it reaches its apex and starts to come back to the ground, a ball that helps maintain its spin more will come in at a more shallow trajectory into the ground. That means longer carry.
Right.
So that's one of the the added benefits of a higher moment of inertia.
I see. By no means it means that this new ball will float when they hit it into the water. Right?
No, some people have asked that, but no, unfortunately it won't. The ball still has to weigh 1.62 ounces according to...
So you still need to keep it in the fairway, okay? But in addition to that, there's this kit here. I would like you to please tell me a little bit more about the process of manufacturing.
Sure.
Both the rubber version and the resin version.
Yeah, so the resin material is an injection molded material, and what that means is, just like how you would injection mold other types of materials if you make model airplanes or things like that. It's a similar process where you have ingredients that are heated and melted
Okay.
into a liquid form, and they're put into a mold, and out comes the resin core. It's a
Okay.
very simple process. Just takes a couple of steps, a couple of ingredients, and some heat,
You melt it down, you put it in the mold, comes out,
and
done.
it comes out exactly.
Okay.
With a rubber core, it's a several step process. So first, you have these different ingredients. You have fillers for weight, and some other catalysts and agents. You have rubber material that all gets mixed together. That gets into a big press, comes out in a big sheet. The big sheet then goes through an extruder where it's pounded out into little tubes like this. Comes in out of the little tube, goes into a mold and is compressed. So that we call it compression molded. So it gets compressed, and then it ends up in the form of a core. So it's a multi-step process. It's subject to things like, for example, humidity in the factory. You need almost an expert factory operator, somebody with a lot of experience, to know that if it's particularly more or less humid on a particular day, that could affect the outcome and the quality of the core material. So it's a much more complicated process, much less precise than resin. And then additionally, from an environmental standpoint, this is a fully recyclable material. So this core can be ground up, remelted, and reused. This cannot. This is what they call a thermoset material. So this cannot be reground and reused. So once you use it, once you make it, once you use it, then you have to discard it probably in a landfill. Ultimately, we will get to a point where we'll be able to reclaim and regrind this material and reuse them again.
So there'll be a division for reclaiming golf balls later on?
At some point, yes, and that's one of the things that we would like to be able to do is to try and do as much as we can from an environmental standpoint and reduce the impact that golf balls make.
Okay, well, so it's less complicated, but the more important thing is it's more controlled.
It's more controlled,
It's more
more
precise. So from batch to batch, golfer will receive the same standard golf balls.
Correct.
It won't vary so much.
Correct.
Okay, that's great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you go out to your local shop, golf pro shop, you want to pick up the new 20XI, you see a black box and a silver box. They're the same series, but they're not exactly the same thing.
That's correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about both so we can pick the right one for us?
Sure. So the 20XI comes in right now comes in two different flavors. The 20XI S that we see on the box tour level spin, and the 20XI X, which we say tour level distance. Now, really, the main difference between the two is that the 20XI S has a slightly softer cover than the 20XI X, and what the S is good for is for the player that has a shallower angle of attack that needs the assistance of a little bit more spin to keep their ball in the air. The X is good for the type of player that maybe generates enough spin on their own naturally with their own launch conditions, and is also looking for spin around the green. For both golfers, for all player types, both of these balls have excellent distance and excellent spin around the greens. The reason that there are two of them is for us to be able to match better to certain types of individuals' launch conditions and swing conditions. So, plus there's also an element of feel that's a preference. The 20XI S being slightly softer will feel slightly softer than the X does. In general, I would say that the average golfer would probably benefit a little bit more from the X in terms of distance, but will also have tremendous spin around the greens.
Okay.
And for the golfer that wants a little bit more spin or needs a little bit more spin off the tee to keep the ball in the air and also wants really, really nice soft feel around the greens, the S is the right ball for them.
You know, I really like the way you put it, because typically when we talk about the harder cover and the softer cover, people tend to talk more about the speed differential.
Right.
You know, but this is more, you said, shallow
Right.
angle of attack,
Right.
generate less spin by nature.
Correct.
The S would benefit you more. Correct? And the steeper angle, a lot of spin by yourself, so that the X would be a benefit for you.
That's right.
Okay, so the same player with same speed, you need to choose the right one.
Right.
Now, of course, all of us who play golf are looking for the holy grail golf ball.
Right.
Really, and usually you get to pick one or the other.
Sure.
You know, the ball that perform distance-wise, not so much on the spin. Now you're telling me that you have here the solution which we've been seeking.
Absolutely. You know, I think it's you know, you talk about the holy grail of golf balls, and what that is it's a golf ball that goes far, so it has low spin off the driver, but still spins very well around the green, so it has high spin off the wedges. We call that a spin slope. So if you sort of think about plotting a graph, so you have spin off of a driver and you have spin off of a wedge. You want as low spin off a driver and as high spin off of a wedge as you can. So the steeper that slope is, if you draw that line connecting those 2 points, the steeper that slope is, the better. That's the holy grail.
Right.
What 20XI allows us to do is to have a steeper spin slope, because we do have lower spin off the driver, no matter which model you choose, because of the resin core and that higher moment of inertia that we had mentioned before. You're going to have lower spin off the driver, but because you have such a soft cover on both golf balls, you're going to have higher spin off the wedge. That's what we mean by a steeper spin slope, and that really is the holy grail of golf balls.
Yeah, it really is, because especially when the majority of golfers, I mean, the majority of golfers probably looking for distance more than anything else, right? And then the better players are not so much on the distance; they're looking for that stop on the green, that extra spin.
And that was, you know, as we 4 or 5 years ago embarked on this resin core, we knew that if we were going to continue to try and make the current technology better and better, slightly better and better, we would still be stuck with a fairly big compromise between distance and spin.
I see.
The balls have gotten better over the years. They've closed that gap. This resin core allows us to close that gap a lot more quickly and to a much greater degree than the previous generation of golf balls.
New term for me: steep spin slope. Now we already talked about, and Mike already explained a little bit about how this new ball, 20XI, increased distance, also with the weight issue with regards to the speed of the ball that comes off. Can you just give us more example on how the new ball affect the speed?
Sure. The resin material, just by its nature, has a higher COR than rubber, and so when it has higher COR, obviously that means it has more ball speed. And all things being equal, every 2 to 3 mile an hour increase in ball speed, every mile an hour increase in ball speed is roughly anywhere from 2 to 3 yards difference in carry. And what's been really fascinating for us to watch is in all the testing that we've been doing with all of our tour athletes, we are seeing consistently 2 to 3 miles an hour greater ball speed that they're picking up off of the previous ball they were playing, whether that be One Tour or One Tour D. And in a couple of cases, Stuart Sink was about 3.5 miles an hour faster. Pablo Martin plays on the European Tour, was 4.5 miles an hour faster. So when you think about the difference that could potentially make, you know, that's a potential difference of anywhere from 9, 10 to 12 yards. For a tour player, that is that's a big difference for them.
That's a club and a half.
Yep.
That's a big difference. Now, of course, a lot of you already are familiar with Nike One. Okay, should everyone switch to 20XI, or some of the golfers should stay with the One and then some switch to 20XI? What's the difference between the two?
I mean, the Nike One, our previous generation of golf balls, the One Tour and the One Tour D, those were really good golf balls. We always felt that they were the best of their generation, but that was a generation ago. So to answer your question, yes, I think everybody should switch. The Nike One Tour and Tour D were part of that generation of solid rubber core, urethane covered golf balls. And as good as they were still subject to the limitations of what a rubber core has. So the 20XI, being the new generation, has the resin material, which we know performs better and does the things that we've measured and the things that we've talked about. So,
Well, for a segment of the market, the tour players are very important to some of the fans. Yeah, if the guy that I emulate my swing after is switching to the new balls, I'm going to do it too. Who on tour has already switched to the 20XI?
Well, of the Nike Tour staff around the world, the majority of our players have already made the switch. Anthony Kim, Stuart Sink, Francesco Molinari, Suzanne Peterson, Michelle Wie, a lot of players that have had good years. Jonathan Vegas on the PGA Tour. Oliver Fischer got his first win with 20XI, his first win of his career on the European Tour. So we know that by the beginning of this coming season, we'll have all of our players switched into it. I think what's really kind of to us speaks to the performance is a lot of our players switched really within the same week they first tried it. So when we brought the ball out onto tour earlier this year for tour players to try it, we had several that tested it. Francesco Molinari, for example, tested it for the first time on the Tuesday of a tournament and then switched to the ball that
Next
Thursday.
day?
Thursday.
Thursday,
All of a
okay.
sudden put it in play on Thursday. And we don't ever really try and force and push our players. You have to do it, try it today, you have to put it in play tomorrow, because we know it doesn't work that way.
Sure.
And the golf ball is the most difficult thing for a tour player to switch, because it's the only thing that stays constant over 18 holes of golf. So to know that many of our players, were able to put it in play that quickly tells us that there's performance benefits really are very true, and that they're seeing it themselves.
Now, obviously, the fact that they switch, the feedback must have been great. But was there any particular feedback that you experienced personally that, like, as soon as they tried, they kind of turn around and look at you, and a story you could share?
Oh, yeah. I think there's a couple. Now when you test with tour players, they all want TrackMan. They all want the data. It's interesting when they first try 20XI, and they're constantly being asked to try new products and new things and things that we believe are better than the previous. But you kind of have to prove it to these guys, and they're obviously the best in the world at what they do. But to see sort of the reaction of a couple of the players, I think Pablo Martin got 4.5 miles an hour more of ball speed. All of our players that tried it saw it. Stuart Sink, the first time, he tried it and he hit it, looked down and couldn't believe that he was almost 3 miles an hour faster, because, as repetitive as their swings are, that's not an anomaly. That's something that always kind of happens. Francesco Molinari, one of the things that sold him on switching the week that he did, he was testing in some fairly windy conditions and slightly mishit a 5-iron with the 20XI that he was testing, and he was expecting it to be about a club or club and a half short on a par 3, and in fact the ball was pin high, and he was shocked that he actually was able to carry the ball that far. And at that point, he turned to one of our field managers on tour and said, I think you have something here.
Because he wasn't gone with the wind.
Right, exactly.
Now, of course, knowing that the tour pros that you like are using the ball is nice. But nothing at all beats feeling it for yourself. So, Mike, could you talk to our fans a little bit, to our viewer who's about to try 20XI for the first time? What should they look for? What is it that they're in for?
Sure. We're really excited to have everybody out there try it, because the revolution, the technology, the heart and soul that my team has put into this golf ball is because we know that it'll provide these performance benefits that we've been talking about. It'll be longer, it'll be faster, yet at the same time you're still going to be able to have that great spin around the greens. Again, as with any new product, the proof is really, for each individual and each golfer to try for themselves. But we know we've had it, we've seen it measured on TrackMan data. We've seen it in our lab. We've witnessed it on the golf course with our tour players, and we know that all of you that are out there that are getting ready to try this golf ball are going to be able to see the same thing too. So we're really excited for all of you to see it.
Well, that's wonderful, Mike. Thank you very much for coming.
Jay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for educating all of us. We'll be sure to try it.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously this is a new step, the new generation, as Mike put it. Like I said, the tour players, some have switched to it. Many tour players do not switch equipment mid-season. So they are waiting for off-season to work more on the new product before they put it in their bag. You will be seeing more of it in the future, but you should be able to try it right now. Good luck with it, have fun, and pick the right one for you.